All right. I'd like to officially call to order the Tuesday, April 24, 2018 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. As always, we'll start with a roll call. I am Brian Barabee.
Jeffrey Bryan.
Lori Stevenson. Rebecca Longwell.
Are you pulling 159?
Yep.
You're awesome. All right, first up, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now hold a public hearing under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider the notice of intent submitted by Herb Colby proposing the trenching and placement of a buried wire associated with a ground-mounted solar photovoltaic system located at the property at 159 Golden Run. The public meeting to be held right now. Do we have anybody visiting 159 Golden?
Let's see.
Well, it's got a few minutes.
Yes.
Is this the one we had looked at before?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the RDA, which the commission had made a positive 3 determination, stating that the work described on the reference plans and documents is within an area subject to protection under the Act, and then will therefore alter that area. The work required the filing of a notice of intent. So now that's the result. And we had received the DEP file number back, and they had made the following comments: that temporary impacts to resource areas should be quantified. The notice of intent does not describe how the resource areas were determined. The fire pond is depicted on Mass GIS as a potential vernal pool. Work is not permitted in this area between March 1st and July 1st. Erosion control should be placed at the limit of work along the trench, as well along the upgradient boundary between the BPW and adjacent uplands. I sent this to be sure that the applicant had a copy as well, and he had basically stated, is there any further information that the commission would be asking for at the meeting this evening? And I stated that it would be beneficial to answer or have some sort of supplemental documentation or a brief narrative answering DEP's questions, because I was pretty confident that we would be asking the same. And I had not received other supplemental information. I'm just checking because I started to say that last time. Yeah, so they did not provide us with supplemental information. So, and I've not received a continuance or a request for a continuance, but it was my belief that they would be here this evening.
Are we able to continue without them requesting?
Technically, no.
Without having a...
Yeah.
Okay.
So typically we ask for a verbal confirmation with them being present, sometimes a phone call, but usually it's an email just requesting it because they can't be present, or they call me earlier in the day.
Interesting. So that basically leaves us with closing it and then voting it on the NOI as it stands?
Yep.
Or closing it and not voting?
Well, we can wait till the end of the evening, we can move on,
Yeah.
in case they went to the
wanna
town
take
right
hall
for the
or
evening.
something on that fact.
Yeah.
And if they haven't, if they're not here by the end of the evening,
Then we'll cross that bridge.
just in case something happened.
Yeah. Go to the town hall.
Yeah. I almost went to town hall.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll table it until.
So it's just gonna move this down till the end of the night.
Yes.
Okay, so I will give you that back. 7:15, we have East Ends.
That's here.
One second, open and close it. Perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
So the Bolton Conservation Commission will now hold a public hearing under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider the notice of intent submitted by Sean McCarthy, the proposal to resurface, submitted by Sean McCarthy, proposed to resurface a pre-existing maintained field area and construct a patio at rear of home located at the property 100 East End Road. The public meeting will be held this evening.
How are you?
Good
evening. How are you?
Good.
How are you?
How are you tonight?
Good.
So I was able to go out on the property and basically confirm the measurements that Sean had basically drawn out the points where he would have the limit of work, but also the suggested monuments, so whether that's a picket fence or stones, to delineate that in perpetuity, basically. And it's pretty much spot on. The closest point is 100 feet, and then that is the point that we had measured closest to the shed area, and then 150 feet, and then 130 towards the rear where there's a little bit of brush. And then to the lookers left of the garage.
Right.
So I'm still pretty comfortable. Nothing's changed aside from just confirming those measurements.
Yep.
I was just mumbling before. Have you gotten an email today from DEP with a number?
No.
No? Okay. So the reason why I ask is because I need to reset up the email on my phone.
Okay.
But anyways.
Were they supposed to email me?
They were supposed to email me with the DEP file number because they knew we were having this meeting this evening,
Oh,
but they're
okay.
a little bit behind on sending those
Okay.
out.
Yep.
I did confirm that they did receive the check, and
Okay.
it went through, everything's
Sure.
all set. They just need to issue any comments they may have. I
Okay.
was told they don't think that there was any,
Okay.
and then we need to receive the actual DEP file number to
Okay.
close the hearing.
Okay.
So the reason why I ask if they've emailed you is because they should be sending it to you as well.
Do you want me to check?
If you would, that would be
Please do.
great.
Would it come from like a certain, would it say anything in particular, or?
It would say,
Because I get a lot of emails.
So choose the DEP.
DEP?
it
Yeah.
should say DEP,
That's coming from DEP.
or it would come from Zero NOI. So it would be this, that top line there.
Oh, why does that look familiar?
That would be great if it looked
Yeah.
familiar, to be
You want it in a
honest.
spam mail.
And then I've drafted the order of conditions and the special conditions in the event that we were able to close this, or when we are able to close it out.
It doesn't look like I got it.
Okay, so, and in that I added, basically the proposed fence has to go along those proposed distances and points. But that's really the only change, and then just solidifying that that limit of work will be represented by monuments on the property. So-
Is that the fence you mean?
Yeah, so
Okay, yeah.
fence or.
Post and rails would be fine.
Yeah.
Post and rails,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just.
Because I actually like post and rail.
Yeah,
That's
that's fine.
perfect then, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, is there anybody here tonight to comment on 100 East End Road? So, seeing how we don't have a DEP file number,
So we wait till the next one?
we continue the next one. With your permission, I'm just gonna
Yeah, that's
hold
fine.
over.
Yeah.
In that case, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for the notice of intent for 100 East End Road until our next meeting, May 1st. Do you want me to guess a time or a time?
Try 7:30.
At 7:30 PM. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
All right.
So continue.
All right,
So
great.
we'll try again.
All right, we'll
Good
try
news
again.
is they're
Yeah,
just
it's
wrapping
moving
up.
around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Huh?
So usually DEP's on it.
I know. Well, that's why I called her, because it was still saying something about the check from March.
Yeah?
So I gave her a call and just asked you know, is this still the case, what's going on? And it's just, they're understaffed, and there's a lot going on. I think she said there's 4 others in the queue that are all set, but just haven't been sent out, so. And then they have meetings kind of on top of it, so. They have a lot for a few people.
Mhm.
And then Jeff, you had that second.
I did, as usual.
Well, Emily?
I know.
Yeah,
When she gets
she's
the
got
next,
some good ones in.
there's a pecking order down the line.
She's right. Chance to look through the minutes?
I did, I didn't see anything wrong with them. No typos.
In that case, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes as drafted and submitted for our April 3rd, 2018 meeting. I hear a second.
Yeah,
Go for it.
second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. Minutes approved.
One thing
Go ahead.
I may be able to take care of. So I did reach out to Leonardo Engineering, they came back. I had sent the letter to everyone
Yep.
that they came back with, but just what they're proposing. So if we're comfortable with their visual inspection in what they're proposing for a maximum fee, then you can sign that. It basically just says, Leonardo Engineering Inc. is pleased to provide this proposal for professional engineering services related to inspection of conditions at the Fifeshire Pond Dam. We propose to provide a visual inspection of current conditions and a follow-up memo with any recommendations that appear to be appropriate to maintain the dam. We expect this work to require 4 to 6 hours of engineering time, which will result in a maximum fee of $650. And they are the engineering company that worked on the lowering of the spillway itself, so that's why we had reached out to them, as they're familiar with the project.
Thoughts? I mean, I was
Is
comfortable.
it,
Go ahead.
is it the one near the road? Not the one,
The upper.
Down below, the lower one.
so if you,
So if you walk in.
You go over the
cross,
bridge.
You go over the bridge.
It's not
Keep
that
going
one.
down, no.
keep going down, it's not the one with all the patio stuff on it. I mean,
Yes, it's that one.
It's that one with the beaver dam running across it?
Yes. Yes, that is the one.
That needs some work. Looked like it was running
Yeah, I
pretty good
think
when I was
it's-
over there. the
Oh,
other
it's
day.
running.
It
Yeah.
runs fine.
It's
Yeah,
running
yeah.
fine, it's just
gonna run
carrying some
better
things
every
with
year.
it.
Yeah.
No, but so that's the one that they're gonna have to do some work on?
Yep, well, we're gonna
At least.
have it assessed
Oh,
and
okay.
see.
Because I didn't get down there and look at it. I was in there the other day doing
Yeah.
some work, and it, I noticed that it was running, water was running through the pipe like
Yeah.
crazy, and that the beavers had built.
Yeah, we actually, so we have a flow device on that, that's what that is, that
Oh, yeah.
corrugated pipe coming out. And I was taking a look on Monday morning, I was out there, and on on the flow devices, there's a cage side and then an outflow. So the inlet side is caged, the outflow
Yep.
is open, because
Yep.
the beavers tend to go towards running water. And without going into that tangent, one of the pieces of cage has separated.
No.
So, we have hired, Beaver Solutions anyways. They come and annually look at and maintain those. This year we'd asked them to include that. So when he comes to take a look at it, I'll ask what needs to be repaired, or if he can just fix it right then and there.
Yeah, so this, the picture I have of this thing.
Yes, yep.
That's, the beavers did a great job down there.
Oh, yeah.
Put the
They're good,
pipe in,
yeah.
they put the woods in it.
Yeah, quite ingenious. I mean, I'm comfortable with that. I don't know, I'm trying to think, price-wise, it seems reasonable. It seems like what something like that would cost. I don't know if we've run into other ones before, but,
Yeah.
and at least they give a max cost, which is great.
How many hours did they say it was gonna take?
4 to 6.
Yeah, so that's $650, that's only less than $100 an hour.
Yeah. we'll
Right.
Come out and take a look over the plan. So I'm comfortable
Okay.
signing that
Mhm.
unless
too.
there's any real objections. All right. We all signing it?
No, just you, and then,
Oh, I'm special.
I'll work with
Don't
Don
worry,
to draft up a standard
What the day
contract.
of it, man.
and then we'll commence with the work out.
Okay. It'd be interesting to see
So what is
they
the
come back.
concrete on that? Is that what's giving way, is the concrete end of it?
No, so well, I don't know, and that's why
Yeah,
I
that's what
wanted
they
to
gotta find
assess. What I have noticed since I've been here is basically just what was placed on the surface to create a stable surface
Yeah,
is being washed out and pushed
Right.
down. But when,
we'll find out.
when they'd emailed us back, yeah, it just sounded like it wasn't a big deal. So that's why I wanted them to look at it, because I don't have that expertise, so,
That'll be interesting to see what they say.
yeah.
That was it for mail?
Yes, and then I sent a letter recently to a resident, actually I just sent it out today. I received an anonymous complaint that there was an invisible dog fence that extended into the Butternut Conservation Area. So I had sent a letter just addressing that. And it's not the conservation area, but it is into the wetlands. So we'll see what their response is, but.
Yeah.
A few minutes, want to give us a quick rundown on our birthday?
Jeff, do you want to give a quick rundown on Earth Day?
Earth Day was fun. We met at the, the library, met at the library, and there were like 16 little kids and a bunch of grandmas and grandpas. And the guy from Bartlett Tree, what's his name, I don't remember his name, came over and brought a bunch of trees. We had Rebecca read a book on something. I wasn't listening to the book, but it was a nice book. And then we took them in groups of threes and planted trees with these little kids. Dug in the dirt, they went home with a pot and a tree. It was pretty cute, had fun. I just see such timid little hands digging in the dirt, but it was fun. They had a good time, and well, let's take them home, they'll plant the trees in the wetlands. Well, we gave away 3 different kinds of trees. We gave a larch, a red maple, right, and a flowering dogwood.
Yeah.
So most of the kids took the flowering dogwood, but some of them took the larch and the red and the maple, and they'll grow anywhere, and everybody seemed to be happy. And it was fun, something to do.
Yeah.
So that was on a Thursday. Was that Thursday or Friday?
Friday.
Friday. It was fun. I had a good time. And I took home a couple of trees myself. I don't know what I'm gonna do with them, but took them in the garden. So that was fun. And I don't think we did anything else for the birthday. Was there? Nope.
Coming up though, we have our trail walk this Friday morning over behind Town Hall. We'll be going up Old Townhouse Road, Powder House Trail, and then crossing the pipeline, coming out on Golden Run for about 8 minutes maximum to reconnect to Quail Run, and then come back down into Powder House.
And myself and Julianne went out there and cleared the way.
Nice.
Yep,
A
so
lot
it's
of down
gonna be
trees out
clean.
there. Chainsaw was going crazy, and then, I was standing in the middle of the thing trying like pull the chainsaw board, you couldn't start, and Julia came over and said, "Why don't you turn the on switch?" Pressed the on switch button, started right up, so we were good to go.
Yeah,
There was a lot of down trees in that part of the world,
Yeah.
I haven't been out on our trails because
Oh.
this is the first week. It's been nice, but I was just seeing the down trees in town and everybody's front yards. I can imagine. I was
It's
out
amazing how many trees were.
God bless you guys. 'Cause, yeah.
And we also, I don't know, this time of year, we put in a couple of bog bridges in
Yep. Experiences.
Fawn Hill, one out near, well, I don't know what they call it, Gracie's Bridge out near that part of the world where it was, it was really muddy and wet, and we built one in there. And we put another one just as you start going into Fawn Hill, which is, there's a little stream that sort of bubbles up and goes down. Just to keep people from widening the trail. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's what they do. If there's mud, you walk around it and the trails are wider and wider. So that was fun. And we built one of them in the parking lot, and the guy that was out there helping us, Chris Jackson, made a jig, so he put it on his bicycle. We had this 18-foot bog thing sitting on his bike, and he was driving it through. It was pretty
I
interesting.
guess that
Worked.
makes sense, yeah,
It worked.
better than carrying it.
Yeah. Better carry the wood way in there. Anyway, that's what we've been doing in the trails. Been fun, I guess. No injuries.
Yes.
Never.
That's why we do chainsaw safety classes.
Yeah. That's coming up 29th.
Oh, yeah, on Sunday.
We have a chainsaw safety class, so if you want, anybody wants to join us, any of the public, just check the boltontrailscommittee.org. And there's I think there's a notice there, isn't there? And it's cleanup week too. There's another notice on there about town cleanup week. Was it this week?
This past week.
This past week. So the town is nice and squeaky clean now. Everybody picked up their trash, I hope.
I hope.
Did you?
I picked up some trash,
Yeah, I did too.
most of it I caused,
But
but I actually picked up some trash throughout the week that was not mine. Most
A lot of trash.
Most of it left at the end of my driveway, but
Anyway,
excellent.
excellent.
This.
And we put a dog dispenser on a 5-shirt. So now if you take a dog out there, only one per hand, right?
Yeah.
One per hand. So
Nothing.
that's all there is. So you can get a dog poop bag, compliments of Rebecca.
Well,
Compliments
compliments
of
of
the
the
town,
conservation.
of the town, yeah.
Town.
You paid for it.
Yeah.
Well, it's excellent. Hopefully it works. It sounds like people have been using the powers.
Yeah.
Going through.
I haven't been
so-
over there in a while, so have you been?
I haven't been on any of the trails. It's been cold, wet, depressing.
And muddy, yes.
I haven't
know.
gone out anywhere.
I haven't been over to Bowers Springs, and I don't know if that's, must be working.
Yeah, there's actually a new what we call that.
Good.
It's a good reminder. Tomorrow's gonna be kind of muddy.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
The Bolton Conservation Commission will now hold a public hearing under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider the notice of intent submitted by Jack Maloney proposing installation of a 1,500-gallon, 2-compartment septic tank and leaching facility and the removal, filling of an abandoned swimming pool in the backyard located at the property of 232 Harvard Road. The public meeting to be held this evening.
Good evening, Brandon Ducharme, Ducharme and Dillis, here tonight with Jerry Mazzola. And Jerry just recently acquired the property. And basically, he's going to be what's doing the work, the rehabilitation of the property. It's an existing 3-bedroom home, and basically the project here is to replace the existing septic system. Pretty much all the work we're doing is going to be an environmental improvement to what's there now. The existing system is obviously located within 100 feet of the wetland edge and is in failure. So we've redesigned a new septic system, septic tank, and we're using a Presby EnviroSeptic. It provides a little bit better treatment than a standard conventional pipe and stone system. Some of the other work, I know there's an existing pool on the property. You guys have had a chance, I know Jack's kind of already gone over a lot of this stuff, and you guys have had a site walk to kind of take a look at everything. I know just from living on this road, I mean, this pool, I don't even think has seen water in a number of years.
No,
And,
Who's water in it?
only the.
Was that?
There's some water.
There was water in it.
Yeah.
Mosquito fly.
Yeah.
So a lot of the work that's gonna get kind of wrapped up is to kind of clean up the existing yard. All of the work is within the existing footprint of the yard, and, obviously any work on the house is gonna be within the existing footprint of the house. One of the things that was identified on the site walk was there is the presence of some invasive species kind of in this area here. Multiflora rose, there's some bittersweet that I know has choked out a couple of the trees there, and I know we looked at one twin birch tree that we'd like to have removed. I think it was that, it was right out here. Yeah.
Yeah. What about there?
And it's an existing tree here that's basically growing out
Right.
over the house.
That was a great big tree.
Yeah. So part of that work, obviously, we're looking to also improve the area by removing those invasive species and renaturalizing this area, which is mostly within that 25-foot offset to the bordering vegetated wetland. There's an existing fence. It's in part a wood fence, and then some of it's a chain link fence. to kind of keep that, obviously it's a pre-existing house and it's pretty close to the wetland there in the back, so we're trying to create as much of a barrier here for any future encroachment. So we're proposing to kind of leave that existing wood fence here, kind of shown in this brown, and then we're gonna put some boulders, or some rocks about 12 feet on center here, and then revegetate this strip with some native vegetation. We've got some white pines, some low bush blueberry, sweet pepper bush, some juniper, and then some grass. Just stuff that'll look good, but it's native and natural. And then overseed that area with a logging seed mix that's typically used to kind of establish some quick growth there, especially after we pull out some of those invasive species, you know, just to kind of get that to revegetate and naturalize. That's pretty much it. Does anybody have any other questions, or?
Can you just point
I have
out the limit of work for where any erosion or sediment control will go?
So we're showing it now, and kind of as you look at this, is the backyard levels out. A lot of that multiflora is here, and then it drops off to the wetland, and it's a little bit less. So we're kind of showing before that drop, we can have the erosion line here in the back. You know, if there's some other multiflora in there, you know, if they've got an excavator, small excavator, what they're doing this work, probably the best way is just to pull it right out. I mean, obviously, as you look at a lot of removal guidelines, it's to cut it and spot dab it with Roundup or something like that. But really, the best way, especially the bittersweet too that's in there, is just to pull
Can I
it
make a
right out.
suggestion? Just my
Yeah.
idea was, I've got a small John Deere 35, so I was gonna come in and where all that invasive, the lines are, just scrape it out, pull it out, get rid of it, and then loam it, and then put in whenever we decide to put it in here. But just a scraping, just to get the, because if you just try to pull it and you leave the root, it's gonna come right back again.
Mm-hmm.
So, as long as you just to scrape the ground through here, leave all that alone. And then on this side, just got the same thing,
Yeah.
and just scrape that out, get rid of it, get rid of the old garage that's falling apart, and clean
You wanna
that.
keep the garage?
You want it?
No.
I can bring it over.
Right.
Pieces.
Might not be standing next to me.
I did have a question, and again, I'm new at this, but, you know, I noticed that the water comes down, the road comes down like this, and the water goes like in there, and I just didn't know how, whether that has anything to do with anything, but I was just wondering, what happens to the water, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Comes out
probably
of the street,
It's probably a low point in the road. You know, if it comes off the gutter and this happens to be a collection
comes like-
point, then
goes down.
yeah, it might be channelized and kind of
That's,
coming down.
I've noticed there's a spot here on the other side of the driveway
Yeah,
where you can see the water comes down and,
and it just goes, I don't know what you can do about that, but I just,
I mean, that's where it's naturally going. I mean, obviously you can get some stone. I mean, a little bit bigger
I
than,
don't know.
you know,
It's
3/4,
probably something
1/2, but
you
yeah,
can
just
look
something.
I asked that when we were at the site visit, remember, I was just kind of curious about it. And there's a tree that's going out, that's gonna be taken out there in the
yeah,
front yard?
there's, the one dead center here, that's almost dead now.
Yeah.
Right.
This one we're just gonna clean up.
And leave it.
Yeah.
What about all those pine trees that are over there?
That's gotta be cleaned up.
That's gotta be cleaned
Because there
up.
was a lot of damage from that last storm we had.
Yeah, this one's outside of the buffer zone anyway, and really, this one is just outside,
Like
if not right on it.
Yeah,
So,
but it
yeah,
was
it's on the
dead
other side of the
anyway,
house.
so-
And this one over here that's outside, that's dead because
Yeah,
the vines have just killed that
Yeah.
whole section there.
So Jack had also mentioned that you may be filing separately for the garage removal and the work on that side, and then potentially address any runoff issue.
Okay,
He mentioned it, I don't know if
yeah.
that,
I mean, my
that's the
inclination-
plan
I
now
thought that
or
was
not.
included, taking the old garage out and just
Um,
getting rid of it because it's a hazard to the property, but other than that, I
Right.
can't do anything with it.
Yeah, my inclination would be if we could wrap it into this one since we're
Okay.
here under this notice.
I mean,
It's
So
silly
that's
not
all
to.
I'm doing
Yeah.
is, I'm
It's
taking,
silly
Just
not
go in
to.
the
Right,
middle of the
yeah,
night,
but-
just,
So, I mean, we're not
Getting
gonna
rid of the garage
we
and
agree
cleaning that
if,
area.
you know, as
Yeah,
long
nobody's
as we
gonna miss
condition it that, you know, once it's removed, we can maybe get some mulch or something, just to kind of restabilize it, and again, we could seed it with the same mixture there, you know, just to get rid
I
of
don't
it.
remember, was it a slab or was it just a natural?
It looks, you probably know better than it
what,
looks.
the garage?
The garage.
It's a dirt floor.
Is it
Yes, I think it's
Yeah.
dirt,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, so there's nothing there, no.
no,
You wait long enough, it'll fall down, right?
it's doing a good
I
job on
would
it.
say it might be
I
down,
remember
that's how
right.
they would remove it,
It
yeah.
looks like a three-sided running shed, really, you know.
That was a garage, there was an old garage door in there.
But you got a beautiful birdhouse.
Yeah.
But you can have it. so.
Thanks.
And we can also condition, I mean, if there's, you know, some rutting there, that we can put some trap rock in there as part of this filing to mitigate.
You know, I know it's outside of everything, but
Yeah.
I saw that there, and I didn't know whether or not that was something, because I don't know where the wetland, whether this becomes wetland over here, or what happens with it, but it just looked like a strange, you know, the water came down here, and it would just turn and go right to the backyard here.
So with the removal of the garage, are you looking to, what are you looking to
Replace it with.
replace it with? Is it just gonna be lawn?
Just, yeah, get rid of all the vines, the same things that grow in here are growing around the garage.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to scrape that out. It's in front of the fence, so scrape that out, loam down, seed it, put some more shrub.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, it
basically
gets
it.
naturalized, and, you know,
Yeah.
really just looking, it's an eyesore now, so I think just remove it.
I should ask quick, is anybody here to comment on this? Can I ask, I know there was some question with boundaries, is that taken care of now? Do we know where the actual boundary to the house is? As far as the neighbors were questioning, some of the trees that need to come down for the
Mhm.
septic, was it on their property or not?
Mhm.
Do we know, is everything here definitely on this property, set, done, that's all been adjudicated, we all are comfortable with that?
Yeah, I think what we agreed to as part of this is, I think we're actually going to be next week to survey, stake that lot line, so at that
Okay.
point.
Yeah,
So prior to altering the area?
Correct,
it's
yeah.
being surveyed.
Yeah.
Good idea.
I mean, we'll stake the erosion control and everything, yes.
Right.
as far as I know, Jack found the lot line here,
Yeah,
and we moved the system a little bit to get it even farther away from the lot line,
Gotcha.
because we were close to it, so we moved that. So, but yeah, that has been identified. And I've talked with the neighbors, and
There was some comment at the
area up
meeting,
here.
at the walk around, at the site visit, about whether it was gonna be a 3-bedroom or something that.
It's a 3-bedroom
There's some-
septic.
They were, yeah, they were
Yeah.
questioning that that would change the size of the
Size.
septic.
Yeah, but it really doesn't have anything to do with it, does it? No?
no,
I mean,
the
so-
minimum you can put in today is a 3-bedroom
Okay,
septic.
Yeah,
so,
that's what Jack.
We're with
said.
them.
so whether they have 2 bedrooms or 3
It's
bedrooms,
a 3-bedroom
now
septic.
it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
so more of a Board of Health issue,
Yeah.
but it is a big issue a lot of times when you're looking at rehabbing these, is we're not increasing the flow, so we're not going from a
Right.
2 to a 3, it's an existing 3-bedroom.
You're not putting anything else
So we're
on.
just replacing it with another existing 3, obviously we don't want to
Correct.
undersize the septic there.
Okay, so you've addressed that. That's-
Yeah.
And you should prefer the Presby systems too, they're nice
Huh?
in a tight situation, because
Yeah.
we're, from Presby, you basically go tight tank, right? I mean, is there anything smaller really, and not that I'm proposing that you do a tight tank,
Yeah, it's
but.
not even that
Yeah,
much
I'm not-
smaller, it's just kind of the way the system works. that
Yeah.
You get like some of that better treatment, which they actually allow you in some repair situations, that you can actually get a reduction to the groundwater offset. You know, really the only thing, I mean, you can go beyond that with, you know, advanced treatment or something like that, but that's, you know, there's enough room, obviously, to fit it here, there's no
Yeah.
issue with that, so. So this
Yeah.
is basically size and everything in accordance with the state code, yeah.
Makes sense. Because I know their concern was because some of the trees need to come down in order to get the system in, just for the root systems, and they were questioning if those trees were on their property
Yeah,
that were marked to come down.
correct.
Okay, that's all been,
Yes.
all right. And we're confirming it next week? The lot line?
Oh, it's all confirmed.
It's all confirmed, it's all set?
All I'm saying.
Yep, they're fine with everything being,
They're
all
just gonna
right.
go out and stake it.
Just so the
Just
neighbor-
take it,
yeah,
right, so
yeah.
they're
It's
comfortable.
all
All right,
confirmed.
yeah, no, I just
Yeah.
wanna make sure we weren't.
It's
I need
expensive
to
to have
cut
that
something
stake,
on
but,
somebody
you know,
else's
because
yard,
it's a
yeah.
concern, you know, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna
Yeah.
stake it. Yeah, so. And we did the work anyway for Logan.
Right.
So it's all tied to the same thing.
In general, I support the project a lot, and it a general improvement over what's there, in my opinion,
Yeah,
just because
general.
it is so bad, yeah. You know, removing the current pool is a nice mitigating factor for some of the other things you're doing. That border should look good, but if we're talking about the garage, which is great, it seems like it should all be on one filing. I don't wanna do that as extra conditions tonight to say we approve it, but you have to put this, you have to list that. I'd actually like to see something come back in a narrative about removing that, what's gonna be there, and then also any kind of erosion controls. If you're gonna scrape that side, that's fine, but then we have to see
Something.
the extent of erosion controls, what we're gonna use for erosion controls. In other words, sometimes we can approve a plan and then just add extra conditions on. I think if we're talking about that other side tonight, I'd rather see a plan come in written with that before we approve it.
How about this, Brownie, can we do a condition that will revise the plan subject to review? I mean, because really, it's not
Yeah.
really, I mean, if it was something complicated,
Yeah.
you know, I could see, you
Oh,
know, I don't know how
if
you're
we're
gonna
talking,
grant-
if we're talking scraping half the yard, that's complicated. That's, you know,
Oh, is it?
that's pretty close to the wetland area. I mean, it just seems like that we're expanding a lot that I would actually like to see something written.
Well, you
Because
want
normally I
to-
can do things
To
contingent.
avoid that, to get this approved, you want me to just leave
I'm
it alone?
happy, but, and then you might need to file again to deal with the other side, which is fine. I don't
What if
know
I
if it
just
makes
leave
your
it alone?
life easier.
What if I just leave it alone?
Just not touch it, that's fine. We just go with these plans as they are.
You think the homeowner's gonna want you to do that?
I mean,
Yeah,
What are you gonna do?
yeah,
If
it's-
it falls down, we'll remove it. you know.
there you
Well,
go.
it's- I want to clean it up.
I agree,
But we
I agree with what he's
But we need
saying,
something
that says what
that's
you're gonna do
showing
with
it.
it.
Yeah, we need, I know your board
Yeah.
is great, but we need pictures to show that this is what's gonna happen. In case it doesn't happen, what do we have to go back on?
Okay. but
So
I don't know
that
what
could
kind of
just be-
pictures.
So you could expand this plan.
Oh, this
to
plan,
show-
bring it
Yeah,
out? Oh, I
yeah,
see.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all, I
Um,
mean, we just
and
need
then
that
just
to
adding
show in
into-
there, and,
You want
adding
that
into the
included in
narrative.
this plan, is what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yeah.
I see.
So then you'd be adding to the narrative to describe
We're just
the
gonna
work
basically
that's
do this,
proposed
so
there.
see how we show the shed, we just show a note that says remove it?
Yeah.
We'll just do the same thing here.
Sure.
And then we'll just show that
And
line.
erosion
And you
control,
do
what the
erosion
erosion
control.
control
So it's up to
is,
you if
yeah,
you
and
want
what
the
the planting
planting
plan is.
Hmm?
To do that, or,
That's up to the bosses. I'm just about the property, clean it up and put a nice house there again. So, you tell me what you guys want to make it easy for me. I just don't wanna wait another 2 months if I don't have to.
No, no,
No, so
which
our
I
next
understand,
meeting
yeah.
is
next, next,
Next Tuesday.
next Tuesday.
So
Alright,
yeah.
okay.
I mean,
if you can get that around in that time,
Yeah.
or
I don't
Jack,
know.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not.
yeah.
it's not-
I will say this, I can't speak for everybody else, but for the plan as it stands now, what you're proposing currently, I'm fine with being out on the property, it's exactly what we wanted to see there. I don't propose any changes to this, additions, or anything like that,
Just
so
want
as
to
it
see what's
stands
going
now.
on here.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'd like to see if we want to do the other side, an actual narrative as to what's gonna get
because if
done.
you're not on the site, and somebody else is with a backhoe,
Yeah.
and all he's looking at is some words,
Yeah.
he doesn't.
And you're also the second property owner we're dealing with in the last 2 weeks.
Unless-
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
So.
knows?
I know, I'm
yeah,
on
if
the site,
you
but
sell it
it's just
again,
my-
yeah, I want it
Yeah.
all on
But you
order.
may not be there, and the guy with the backhoe is, and he's looking at a plan and
Mhm.
doesn't show anything.
Yeah. But me in the backhoe.
I know.
Yeah. So if possible, if you're all right with that, I'd rather continue it to the first, we can get that in writing and then just sign off on it then, if that makes sense.
But you guys tell me if that's what you guys need to have. so we
Well,
can
this,
make it
this
work.
one's completely on you, you can ask
Yeah,
us
you
to
have
vote on
to
this as it
request it,
stands, or you can
or-
say, I'd rather continue it to next week and we wanna add something in.
Another week is not doing anything, is
I
not
don't
gonna
think,
kill
yeah.
anybody.
we can get this to Rebecca this week.
It shouldn't be a crazy addition, yeah. Do we have a time open?
7:45?
7:45? All right, in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 232 Harvard Road until our next meeting, Tuesday, May 1st,
Yep.
at 7:45. Hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
You and I, you can jump right in.
That's okay, it's easy for Rebecca if it's the same person.
Jump right in anytime you want.
All those in favor of continuing?
Let's see if it's
Aye.
like
Aye.
that.
Okay.
And here's what,
Yes,
what
the
this, what
same
you're
line
saying,
shown here, we'll just
Okay.
wrap it around that.
with the more plants and stuff. Is that what you're saying?
And
Is that what
if
you're
there's a
suggesting?
drainage issue off the road, if you're gonna add like some riprap to that or something to.
Yeah, I'll
direct
take a
it.
look and see
See
where
where
that is,
it's
yeah.
How did you manage to
Make
get
sure it's
the
on
driveway
property,
around?
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
That was really
This
weird,
is
yeah,
before.
yeah, that was.
Is
I'll
that
verify
it?
it in. The
This is the
driveways-
property line, the
Yeah.
driveway is,
Oh, yeah, in the right of way. Yeah, so, I mean, Harvard Road's got a pretty wide layout.
yeah, I
It's
guess.
kind
That's a
of, yeah.
big right away, I was surprised when you
Yeah.
were saying that. Anyhow, okay.
So you're gonna tear, is that going away, or is that gonna stay?
No, that's gonna stay, what's going away is the hot top.
So you're gonna take the
Broken up.
driveway, is gonna go, that existing stuff is gonna go away?
The hot top's gonna go away, what I was gonna do is put crushed stone down instead,
Okay,
and leave the driveway.
so the driveway here.
That's,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's
their-
gonna
That's
come
gonna be the
Yeah.
driveway.
Right, that's gonna
And so this
stay.
is all gonna go away.
That's
And you gotta
gonna
just
go away,
put,
and I'm just gonna put crushed stone
Crushed stone.
back in the same place.
Yeah.
But get rid of the old junk hot top.
okay.
Okay, so we are officially continued until next week, until the May 1st.
All right.
Good.
Thank you. We'll
Yeah.
get you that.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir.
Have fun. I don't want the show.
Huh?
I thank you for the offer, but I don't want
You
the show.
sure?
I'm positive. Thank you very much.
Easy to break it up.
I know.
and make it, yeah.
Appreciate it. Is
Thank you.
the 7th one?
Ah, yes. So we can cycle back, right?
Yeah,
So back to, oh, yes.
1:59.
right.
Yeah.
Step right up.
Do we have time?
Yeah, we could
Questions
do that.
afterwards, yeah. If you want to come up, we opened the public meeting earlier, but we had just rolled it
okay.
over to hold it
All right.
for now.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hello again.
Twice in a
Yeah, week.
couple weeks.
Everybody's having a good time.
I don't, right? We're still open.
So did you bring any answers to those questions?
Well, kind of.
Okay.
Basically,
We'll work
I'll let you guys, you know, there is much to do with, you know, they look like conditions, basically, or some of the things at least. The work period, erosion controls. So I put together
with that. Oh, okay.
this,
So
just a
content.
little bit of a layout
Mhm.
kind of thing. Homemade figures here. So I guess to be frank, the one question I wasn't quite sure about
Mhm.
is that temporary impacts should be quantified.
Yep.
Now, what does that mean?
So basically,
Area?
yeah,
So I think I had indicated the width and the length of the trench, which
Yeah.
to me was quantification.
okay. So that would make sense to me. I think what they're looking at is that, but showing sort of the impact, the before and after. So you're putting a trench through, and I had spoken to the woman from DEP earlier about a different project, but we touched upon this in that, because we were talking about the different resource areas that they're categorized as on the property.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it's a potential vernal pool poses question as to what's being disturbed. It limits you to when you can do the work, but you're in that period now, which is good. And
No, I
then-
think I can't work in this period.
Oh, it's not, yes,
Yeah,
you're
it's
correct.
March,
okay.
right?
Yeah,
I
but-
retract that
The
statement.
intention was to do it when the water level is down
Right.
and this whole area is dry anyway.
Right, so I was explaining that to her as well,
Yeah.
and the fact that it was widened many years ago for an ice skating pond, and that the depth that's in the fire pond doesn't necessarily continue to
The
the
upper
edge
part.
over
Yeah,
there.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So I don't, it's still, so just to, I guess, explain how the DEP comments impact the project, it doesn't necessarily impact it locally on the commission side. We typically try to match what they're asking and requiring though, just so that there's no confusion, and it's not that we approve something and then they come back and say, well, you know,
What'd
the
you do?
state isn't going to allow that, even though the town is, so then you wouldn't be able to do it anyways.
Right.
So that's why we need those questions answered as well, but it's up to the commission to deem if that answers the questions or not. I mean, the resource areas themselves are, I mean, you can tell the banks of the stream, you can tell what fire pond is, you can tell where it's been extended, not extended, but widened a little bit
Right.
there.
Right.
Just by physically being there, so that's an advantage that the board has over, sort of an overseeing entity there.
Okay.
No, I was trying to, because I read through this too, and I was trying to figure out the impacts to the resource area. I'm questioning on something like that, upon natural, like because if this is trenched and allowed to naturalize, is it then, does it not have an impact? I mean, is it supposed to be zero impact when complete? I mean, that's not to say there won't be impact in doing it.
Yeah, so I think the result, any project that's done that does impact a resource area, I think the end result should be either better, if not equal to what was there before. And as far as a trench goes, I understand that. I don't have an extensive knowledge on the impacts of putting a pipe in the trench with wires in it and what impact that may have. I imagine it's little to none, but I don't have that expertise, so I don't know if that affects the impact, but because they're specifying temporary impacts, I believe it's only when it's trenching. So what you were saying would make sense.
Okay, yeah, in the long, I guess, well, during trenching, I guess if there was any, whatever, wildlife that needed to cross through, you know, if it was fish or something like that, that would be prevented at that time. I don't.
But it dries out part of it.
Yeah, it's mostly dry, I was gonna
don't think
say,
there's fish.
Yeah.
most of that area, like, this
I
is
mean,
all.
from-
steep.
from a
They
practical
gotta take one of these, big, like wheels that just, like they do.
It's probably gonna be a backhoe.
Backhoe.
Digging a narrow trench,
It's like just
2
put
feet
that down
deep.
and
And,
bury it.
yeah, and, you know.
Take a couple days to do that, is that what they're?
Total from the house out to so the crossing here will be some part of that.
Yeah.
But I
What
would
do you think
say
it-
a couple days,
Yeah.
you know,
And then it goes back to normal,
right. Maybe one day for the contractor, you know,
yeah.
trying to satisfy
Sure,
somebody
yeah,
else.
and-
But, you know, realistically, no more than a week.
Yeah.
And it'll be done when it's dry, during the dry period.
Yeah.
I just don't see any permanent, you know, and then it'll be restored. You know, it might, you know, as a geologist or hydrogeologist, it might have some immeasurably small effect on groundwater flow. And
Yeah.
really
it's-
none, essentially. But in terms of the effect on the pond or runoff and that sort of thing, I can't see any long-term effect at all. It'll be reseeded basically with turf that comes out of there, so it'll be the native material put right back. We may take the opportunity to remove some of the iris, the yellow iris, the invasive yellow iris that are taking over around there while we're doing this, but not if it's gonna cause an issue for you guys. I mean, the
Well,
last,
removing invasives is usually a.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
usually not a bad thing.
yeah, so.
Was this, initially, we were trying to figure out exactly how it was gonna jog in.
Yeah.
Is this still that, because it seemed like that would be the lot, like you were gonna go over this walkway, would be the perfect thing to do.
Yeah.
Is this, to the best of our knowledge, the way it's gonna go
Yeah.
now? I know there were some trees and there was a question, does it jog out, but is this?
No,
like,
yeah,
this
that's
is
the way it's
final
gonna
now?
go. Yeah, the
Yeah.
pole that you guys raised question about, the power pole,
Yeah.
is right sort of in the corner there.
Yeah.
So the jog is to take care of that
Cut around
and to
that.
go where it's dry.
Yeah, and then
Most of the
you'll go
time,
across that
so-
one major walk section.
Yeah.
Neither of you here to comment on 159, I'm assuming. Questions, did you come on the initial one for this? Do you remember this one? You were on that one, right?
Yeah.
What
You know,
size the pipe?
Hmm?
The
It's,
pipe
I think, a
is
4-inch
pipe?
PVC
Yeah.
to run
Yeah.
some wires through.
And it was in the NOI how wide the trench had to be. I
I
forget.
think it's like
It was-
2x4 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
It'll be
set, yeah.
1 to
and
2
it
feet.
just goes
Narrow,
straight.
narrow.
Yeah.
Like that.
Right. And it'll be this wide when they come across
Yeah.
that glacial fold on there, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
narrow.
And the entire solar display, the solar array is actually outside the
Outside.
resource area.
Right.
Everything's upland. It's
Mhm.
just trenching it so it can get to the house.
Right. Without
Uh,
taking trees down, which was the whole reason doing the work you were doing.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
trees,
Yeah.
no trees.
Yeah, it was,
That was
it's
the
a straight
reason
shot
why it
across,
was-
yeah.
Yeah.
it was hard trying to figure out where he was gonna cross the wetland originally, because there is that, you can see there's that one high point, that's almost like a walkway between it, which is still logical.
Yeah.
But there's a
Uh,
huge caliper tree and then, power line pole, so that's, because we were there and we're like, yes, this makes sense.
This is
And then we're
perfect,
like, but
like,
we know
oh.
why you don't want to do
Oh,
that.
now I see what I-
It's
yeah,
covered
yeah.
in the tree. Okay, so proposed erosion controls. This is.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
You know, it was hay bale rows.
again, it's gonna be dry.
Yeah.
There'll be no running water
Okay.
anywhere there, you know, barring I mean, there won't be, it'll be backfilled before or during, you know, so it won't ever be open when there's running water.
So here's two things. One, I would suggest straw wattles and silk fence if you're going to do that, just because any earthwork, the silk fence is typically better. However, if you're doing it when it's dry, my concern is just knowing or taking a pretty educated guess on how much heavy single storms we're gonna have. I don't want one to come up and surprise when it should be dry and it's not a big
Right.
deal, and then we have one of those high or heavy precipitation events and it causes a problem. So that's the only reason why I think it's important to have something in
Mitigation.
place, yeah. But that's up to the commission. If hay bales are fine, hay bales are fine, but there definitely needs to be something there just
Yeah.
just in case that happens.
And then I figured well, I guess they have to be left in place for some period of time, but they can also be used to, you know, reseed or rather put the turf back. Put the hay bales
Yes.
over them or not? I mean, bust them up and,
Yeah, so the only concern with that is with hay bales, sometimes they have invasive seed in them, so you're basically reseeding the area with invasives.
Yeah. That's why we go with
So
the
that's,
straw.
that's why the straw is typically better.
okay.
But again, it's up to the commission. I wouldn't encourage spreading it though. I mean, using them is one thing,
Yeah,
but I wouldn't
okay.
encourage
All right.
dispersing them.
Okay.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
When the backhoe goes in there, you know, you're talking about digging a trench this wide, but how wide is I mean, the wheel's gonna grind up a
Well, you
bunch of
can
stuff
reach
that,
with the back.
It's pretty dry and this is a,
okay,
you know,
so,
it's a firm.
so even if the
firm
wheels
bottom.
do grind up,
Mhm.
then
Yeah.
that will be part of the replacement as well, right?
Yep, so any
Yeah,
disturbance.
So
to the
anything that's
resource area.
disturbed,
Yep.
Yeah.
okay. And that's written down somewhere.
We will add that as a condition.
I'm just curious, because I'm looking at it to see, you know, where's I can see where you know, out in the field, it's not a big deal, because that's, you know, it's way outside, right?
Right, yeah.
Down
right,
around
that's not-
here,
Right.
if you've got something with two, you want the tires
Getting
digging,
it through, right? Yeah.
you know, maybe. And then how's he gonna do? He's gonna do it from one side, or he's gonna do it from the other side, or he's gonna try and do it all from one side, or do you have any clue? No? Is that an issue?
I guess he'll just start.
To start right here and just
Back all the way over to
reach,
here or start here.
yeah, whatever.
Lift it up, roll it over,
Yeah, just
And
move it
then-
over to the side.
and then take it and roll it right back in.
Yeah,
I'm
I guess
I'm
it's,
just
I'll
asking a
roll it
question.
back over.
Yeah.
What are they gonna do with the stump?
That, I might have him dig out while he's at it, but.
Is that the buffer too?
I don't know.
What happened to the tree? Fell
That
down
one,
one
big
day?
old pine, it,
Fell down one day?
yeah. It went one winter, came down. Not so long ago. We can leave it there?
It's attractive,
It's what?
attractive. It's attractive, it's a nice,
It's
Oh,
attractive
oh.
stuff, yeah.
there's
Hang
some
it
snow
all
there.
around.
Any other questions?
Any concerns outside of what DEP has submitted?
No, I mean, not the only reason why it came before us, but was now they're treating, because solar panels used to be exempt or close to exempt, and now they've changed the regulations to just have it go through the same process. So I think that in mind, there is a realization of the impact to the resource areas, but also the fact that they are still minimal. This is a little bit different because it trenches through it, but like you said, it's dry when you'll be doing it, so.
I'm just trying to think for erosion controls, like I said, we definitely try to get the hay out and go with the straw wattles. Like I said, if there's a major rain event, I could see needing something stronger than the wattles, but the way this gets dry and it's just a straight trench, it would almost seem like the wattles would be the easiest way to go.
Yeah, I
Or
would
s-
agree.
so-
Let's-
And what's the, why am I blanking on the other ones, not the hay bales, the
Silt fence.
silt fence. So, I mean, I suppose we could say straw wattles or silt fence and just leave it. I mean, I wouldn't, I mean, sometimes it's like, you know, you really need to kind of
Yeah.
put a silt fence on that one, but on this one I could see just
Pretty
straw
flat.
wattles.
When do you think you're
And
gonna
it
start?
dries.
Yeah.
It's up to you
I
guys.
was gonna say,
After
after
July
July
Looks like-
first.
like- Yeah.
After
Or-
July
or, you know,
1st,
one
is that
thing I
what
was
it
gonna
says?
say, or could you say,
That's
or
what it
when
says,
dry?
right, after July,
Yeah.
March
The
to
reason
July
why
1st. Right there. So July 2nd.
it's not or when dry is because the potential species that are using the vernal pool, so that's what that time frame's for, so it's when they're mobile, when they're breeding.
Okay.
So it's,
So even though they wouldn't, I mean, egg
yeah,
masses or anything like that obviously wouldn't be
yeah.
there if it was dry, but they might be moving.
I would, I would
Okay.
err on the side of caution with that one. But, I mean, if it's significantly dry for a month, you're not gonna be getting movement anyway, so at that time, I
Yeah.
think it would be fine, but like I
Okay.
said, I don't think we're gonna run into that this year, unfortunately. But I don't know, I'm the weatherman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Can I actually see this for a minute?
yeah.
If we were to approve it as submitted, right? We want to make the change to the erosion controls, we prefer straw wattles or silt fence for the erosion controls. Do I need to put in something about DEP's comments, or do we need to say, also, that we have, that work should not be done in this year between March 1st and July 1st,
Yeah, I think that'd be appropriate.
right?
No, it's okay, you
I
can,
think I have another one
Yeah.
somewhere.
that's okay.
I have another one somewhere. Okay,
Need a pen?
yeah.
Well, I was, because I need to add them to this, or Brian can do it.
Thanks.
It's up to
Are we
you.
writing
I
things?
second that.
All right. So, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the NOI for 232, for 159 Golden Run Road. With the following additions, that the erosion controls be in the form of straw wattles or silt fence.
Okay, yeah.
And that per DEP's recommendation, no work should be done between March 1st and July 1st. That's it, right?
Mhm.
There's no other additions?
I don't think so.
All right, we'll let Rebecca catch up on writing. At least
No,
you
that-
can read your writing. You wouldn't be
And
able to-
it does include putting it back in its original
Yes,
state.
yeah, as the original,
Okay.
right,
as
so
long
it's a
as it says
renaturalization,
that,
refill and naturalize.
Second one was,
That,
Oh.
per DEP's recommendations, no work should be done on the project between March 1st and July 1st.
Pretty high right now. Water.
Yeah, but it's not, it's funny, it's not
Moving.
running over the spillway right now. It wouldn't take much to.
So maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
Just send
Where's it going because of the storm?
Just wait.
What's that?
It just goes right up.
Yeah, there's a brook,
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
brook.
Yeah.
and see how it goes.
That goes to Toss property?
Yes, ends up down there. I didn't realize it, but that's Great Brook. isn't it, there?
Is it really?
Yeah, up behind here. Well, I saw it on an old topo referred to as Great Brook,
Oh,
which
which is,
I wasn't, that was news to me, but.
I'd say, how old was the?
yeah.
Everything must have been great
Say
for back in
any
those.
disturbance
right.
shall be restored to its
Yeah.
original conditions or better
So-
prior to, just, yeah, any disturbance shall be restored to its original conditions or better, following, like,
Fallen,
following construction,
yes.
completion of, yep.
Should there be a timeline of how long it's exposed? Like no more than a week or something? And so it doesn't stay.
Right, yeah,
Open.
just cut it open.
That would be my interest.
You'd be everyone's interest.
What's that?
That'd be everyone's interest.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to close it first and then, right. Why don't I do that first? Why not? Give me a second. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion that we close the public hearing for 159 Golden Run Road. Second, do I hear?
Second.
All those in favor?
Okay.
Aye. All right. We'll vote to approve it in 1 second. Thanks. Okay. If I can read her exact writing, it just makes life easier.
And then, Lori, what was your, so the time frame? How do you want to word that?
Once construction's begun, oh God,
Yeah,
after trenching
Trenching,
commences,
yeah, it should not,
should be completed and filled within,
within 7 days.
yeah, within 7 days.
'Cause, I mean, it's not that far of
Yeah.
a span.
No, it's really short.
Yeah.
Short.
I'm sure they want to be in and out with it too.
And that way you can tell them, well, you have to do it.
That's right.
Yeah, they won't let me cut it.
You only
in
got
1
7
second.
days to get it done.
Right, right.
And you don't have to show them the OOC, so you can lie too.
Yeah.
You told me it's gonna be done today. yeah.
Is the guy that's gonna do the trenching, is he gonna install the panels too?
No,
No. So you got somebody coming that's gonna do the
Right.
trenching,
right.
put the pipe in and then leave the out at one end and out the other end, and then you get the panel guys. So you have a subcontractor, so it would be a good idea to make sure he understands
Right.
that he doesn't dig half of it, then takes on
Go
two
on to
jobs.
some other
That shouldn't
job, right.
happen, it's a-
Yeah.
Not that they've ever done that before.
Yeah, yeah.
What's this?
Must be personally owned. Must be personally owned. Which one it is.
I'm trying to think what it is, too, it looks landlocked.
Which one's the roads?
No, I just look at that.
Sochelsky property, you think?
That's
Yeah.
not St. Northwoods.
Northwoods.
No, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I couldn't picture that in space. Okay.
I just had a
Anyway.
phone call about something over there, so that's why I just was looking at her earlier today.
Okay.
Good to know.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the notice of intent for 159 Golden Run Road with the following conditions added. That the erosion controls in place should consist of straw wattles or silt fence. That per DEP recommendations, no work shall be carried out between March 1st and July 1st. Any disturbance shall be restored to its original conditions or better following completion of construction. And trenching and associated work shall be completed within 10 days. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Shake it.
Fixing.
No, I actually read them exact for that reason. Trying to make it life easier, and you hit exactly what we were looking to do too. You did write them
You're
there.
trying to run the whole house on this?
Pardon me?
You gotta run the whole house on this?
I think so.
Really?
That'd be good.
That'd be good, yeah.
That'd be good.
Alright, so,
Especially after the last
These
one.
are still there.
Especially after the last one, the first electric bill was like,
Yes.
oh yeah,
I blame it on the salt pump.
signature.
I don't know
Cause
what
you
it
have
was.
this
Yeah,
one
some
shows
pump has
it's
been
the
running
one
nonstop.
today.
Okay,
My
thanks.
electric bill
Do
was
you need a
still
second
high,
copy?
higher than it normally is.
So I'll take it home and eventually I'll
Just-
take it.
Rates have gone up.
Alright.
Yeah.
That's what it's recycling. I should be clear about that.
Well, the sump pump is, it pumps the water out of the basement into the thing next door. The water settles down, goes
Goes
back
back
into the
into the
basement, pumps it out again. It's like, that's what's going on, so.
That's awful.
So what's the process? It
So-
takes a little while.
Right now, they're signing off. I will take it back to my office, make a copy so that we have a copy in town hall. I will give you, either by hand or I can mail it to you, whichever works best for you. But you can stop in my office. I will give it to you. You will need to get it recorded at the Registry of Deeds. Once it's recorded at the Registry of Deeds, you can give us this fun sheet back here that just says the book and page that it's
Okay.
been recorded on. And from there, that basically says I can sign off on the permit, on the building permit.
Okay.
Finally, and then you can commence the work, but prior to you starting the work, erosion controls need to be up, and I'll come out and do a site visit. Once those are up, to say
Okay.
you're good to go.
Do I need to put up the little DEP
Mhm.
Yes,
numbers?
you do.
Okay.
Yes.
Make sure it's visible from the road.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, so you can stop in, or, like I said, I can mail it to you,
Okay.
whichever works best.
I mean, I guess we're in no hurry here, so mailing would be fine.
Okay, I
guess
can do that.
We've got some time before
Sure.
July 1st.
Yeah, before you know it.
What's that?
It's in
I
there,
know.
Great, thank you.
Great.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you,
very
good
much.
seeing you. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Take care.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, do you want to come up? You're stuck here to the end anyways, so I can roll you.
Thank you for your patience. I'm stuck here for the end.
You're stuck here until we close this out.
I
Yeah.
know.
This was just it's a minor adjustment to
Minor.
one house that we were doing. So I've got a couple of sheets that kind of show close up and then further away, and then, so you can get a sense of it. This is the back cluster that we're working on. So 1, 2, 3. So
On the right
these.
hand- I'm sorry, right,
On the left-hand side from, if you're in the trailer, it's to the left-hand side all the way in the back. So these foundations are all in. We're just starting to construct these houses. We're framing this house right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the people that are buying had requested, with this home design, we've got kind of a little, a bump in, that's a porch. And you can see on the last page. And they've just requested if we could extend it out a little bit,
So
because
that will still be a porch, that bump in.
it's flush with the house, yeah.
Yeah,
It kind of
okay.
ends in the straight, it's in line of the house, so, that doesn't extend out at all. It bumps in, so they've asked if they could extend it out a little bit, which you can see on the last page. It's about 8 feet by 11 feet. And what I was trying to show with this is adjacent to the house, this purple line that I show, these are the existing wells. The wells were located in the wetlands behind it, and these are the lines that go up to service it. So where the footings would be on the, inside of those water lines. So right now, it's disturbed area. We've just put the foundation in. So we're not going beyond those water lines. So we need to put in just footings, and, you know, we'd make sure that it was open underneath the deck. So it would essentially just extend out about 8 feet from the house.
And the plans as they exist now, this was gonna be lawn, I'm assuming, in the back of the house?
Yeah.
or-
Yeah, just lawn next to it, and it'll still be, you know, lawn underneath it.
Do we know how far out that lawn was gonna go? I'm just curious. if
It
it's-
goes
So-
pretty much just up
Right
to
up to
the,
the
up to the
no-touch,
edge
right?
of, up to the no touch, there'll be a
Yeah.
fence that goes along it. So really just on the opposite side of the water lines.
Right, right, and it's gonna go over what was proposed as just existing maintained grass
Exactly,
right
yeah.
now. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's not gonna be covered. It's not covered. Enclosed.
No, it's not enclosed, it's just an open deck. Rebecca had mentioned that, you know, don't put any lattice or anything underneath it, which I think I added on here,
Yep.
or on the other one. It'll be open at the bottom, no lattice, so it's essentially putting in a couple of footings in the existing area that right now is dirt. But it's different from what we had proposed, so I wanted to make sure you were okay with it, and Rebecca suggested we come in.
Appreciate that.
Any additional questions?
What happens if this guy wants to do it, and that guy wants to do it? Then you just come back to us.
I'd come back to you again if they were gonna do it. You know, some of them may not even be in proximity to the wetland. This
Oh, yeah, that's
this
fine.
one
Okay,
actually.
I understand.
Yeah, this one here doesn't have the interior one, so that's not an issue.
That one
This
is-
one does, and it's on the outside.
So it's not a big deal.
Yeah, whether it's,
Okay.
I'd have to look to see if it's part of the wetland, but, it's just kind of proximity with this one, you know, they're, you know, doing a lot with the house. And I think it's actually a nice use of space personally, but, it's in the resource, so.
And the stairs
it's very
going
cool.
off, whatever.
No stairs, no, I
stairs?
filled in no stairs,
Yeah.
so, that'd limit the impact as well.
No?
Yeah.
So it's literally just the footings.
How are you digging footings?
Well, they'll just probably have you know, their small piece of equipment back there.
Yeah.
And right now, it's, you know, we've backfilled with the foundation, but we haven't done any landscaping there. It's just
So-
exposed
so
dirt.
it's exposed
It's exposed
soil
dirt
anyway?
right now,
Okay.
yeah. So that's why we wanted, if we're gonna do it, we wanna get them in now and build it so that when we, you know, landscape, it will all be
You
landscaped at the
putting
same time.
crushed stone under it?
We were directly, you know, under them we do for here. I think we probably just leave it natural as compared to putting in the crushed stone. It's elevated quite a bit. This is kind of a partial walkout, so I think there'll be enough light and things to get in there. So I was planning to just vegetate it along with everything else. If you felt we needed stone, we could, but I don't, in this situation, I don't think it's necessary. Because it is elevated and it's not, you know, it's not out that far, that I think it will get plenty of light, to get some vegetation growth there.
Yeah, Rebecca, do you have thoughts, questions?
I don't, I guess my only question is, and to me, it's not necessary because it's sort of minimal in relation to this project and they are staying within their disturbance area, would be, does it need, can it just be a field amendment? Or does it need more substantial than that? So I think that's the only formality that I'm questioning, but as far as what's proposed, I think it's very minimal.
Yeah, I would lean in this case to go just a field edit and then ask that it be included on the as-built, which is part anyways, you know,
Yeah.
it's already there. I seem to be fine with it. I mean, it seems like it's
Yeah,
going
it's
over
not
one line, it's
enclosed,
just
it's just
staying out of the
straight.
25. It's still permeable.
I wasn't involved in the beginning of it, so I'm gonna have to go with, you know, whatever they agree with is fine with me.
That said, would we, is that something we need to vote on, or is that something just be a discussion that we can
It's just
say?
be a discussion.
I think that would be fine as a field edit. I couldn't see doing a full RDA for that.
Yeah.
Keep this nice
How many
one,
ti- how
put
many
that in the
square-
file, that's fine.
How many square feet was it?
We're going out about 8 feet by 11, so
Okay.
it's pretty modest, yeah. Yeah, and we limited it, they wanted to go more, and I'm like, no, we're not going beyond the water line, so we're,
Yeah.
I think it's about, we're not digging
Yes.
anymore
Yes.
beyond where it is, so I think it's about, we've got about 6.5 feet, so we figured 8 by the time we you know, we put in the columns and wrap it and post it, so they'd be about 8. So, we limited it to, we limited it to what I felt we had without creating, additional impact.
Yeah, you mentioned.
Yeah.
And I'll be putting in just a note into the file in terms of that it was approved and okay at this, or it was discussed and it was okay at this meeting, but if you want a copy of that letter,
As
for
long
any
as it's,
reason.
as long as it's in the file, it's gonna
Okay.
be in the minutes, so, that's good enough, it's good enough for me, so, if it's good enough for you, then that works. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrific. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks for sitting through our entire meeting.
What's that? Oh, that's no
Yeah,
problem.
so-
No, she wasn't sure, she
Love
said,
an
you know,
audience,
she said
so-
there may be an opening, and if there is, we can take you, but it's,
You
it's
can comment on other people's
you know, I
projects.
love
The
it.
next meeting is the first.
Staying up
so
at the
it's not
town,
live.
all right, if I'm around, I'll be here.
I'd like to be
so.
part of the, we could use another person.
No, I don't know if I'm entirely,
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, have a great
Thank you.
night.
Thank you.
Did you get a copy of this?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jeff,
Yes.
would you like to talk to us about the trail committee?
Well, we're going, Juliet went out on the trail with a couple of other people on Rattlesnake, when it was sort of wet a couple of weeks ago, and they recommended some bridges on these 3 spots. And I don't have a problem with that. I think they probably,
Say you're out there.
yeah, it doesn't bother me that much. I was a little, when I first went out there and looked at this, it was wet. And, you know, it's going to dry,
Right.
you know. I don't know whether we need to put a bridge in there, but, you know, it would have been, you know, you didn't want bikes riding through it because it just made the holes deeper and deeper, so maybe it's a good idea. It's always a good idea to have bridges out on these things because they tended to get wet again.
Yeah.
It's wet once,
Yeah.
it's gonna be wet again, and it was pretty muddy. Did you go out and look at this?
Yes, so there was sort of a handful of areas that we had looked at. They said, oh, we want to put a bog bridge here, would it be nice? And I said, no, it's not necessary. Because exactly what Jeff's talking about, there were areas that were seasonally wet. And when we were even there, they said, oh, wow, it's already dried out quite a bit. So the ones that you have before you, the one on Rattlesnake is the picture that Lori has
Right.
and Jeff has. This is an area that there's,
Bike traffic.
it's basically almost like a small valley, I guess you could say. It's a concave area that collects all the runoff and everything. It is crossing a wetland, potentially an intermittent stream. So that area most likely stays wet for most of the year, probably not that wet, but, so I think that's significant enough that would be beneficial to have a crossing. On Anymore, there was,
Is it part of the old cart road or is it off the old cart road?
so there's 2 areas. One is right where the cart road almost crosses a stone wall. There's a low area.
Talking about Rattlesnake,
They
yeah.
have requested that we reroute that, sort of keeping it in the upland areas so we get right out of that. And honestly, it would make sense to me because there wouldn't be really any tree removal at all. But then the other one that image is of, it's sort of up and around the corner off of that main cart path.
Yeah.
But again, it has more water there than the other areas. So I
It
don't
is
know
a
if that
little-
answers your question.
Everything goes downhill.
Right, yeah.
From both sides. so
Pools there. Anymore, so there is 2 places. I think you probably get away with one of them, but I think the 2, it would be beneficial to have. One is part of that, the extension that went in last year that we had approved, and you can see where it basically, because of the landscape, it pools and it comes right down. I don't think it's I don't believe it's enough to be qualified as an intermittent stream because they're not vegetation. I doubt they're supportive hydric soils. But for a lot of the spring, it does come right down, so it'd be beneficial,
It's right there,
again, just to protect that area down the streets.
right there.
So see location one, location two.
Right.
So
So
this
you put,
area
you
and
put
then
this
this,
in, this,
those two.
in those two spots.
Yep.
We got the stuff, right? It's in this trailer.
Yep, we have the materials, so it's more, I guess, asking the permission of the commission if that's appropriate on any more, because like I had stated, I don't believe it can be classified as an intermittent stream because of the others lacking, items that you basically need to check off. But on rattlesnake, the image more towards the lorry there, that's in a wetland area, so that may require filing of an RDA, which the commission would basically, or the Trails Committee would basically be filing, but it's just a formality to put that in place.
What do you want? We have to file for that one, excuse me, that one right there?
Yes, yeah,
The one by, where it says union,
yes.
right? And that's
Like
this little,
That's the jogged one, yeah.
Yes, yep.
rebar. Well, that's the,
What's wrong? What's the rebar for?
what's the rebar for? Pins for the sills. I don't know what that means, but probably to keep it from a 1/2-inch rebar, so I don't, so it's 2 feet long. I don't know what that, yeah.
So,
I don't have an issue with this, with that.
yeah, I mean, generally speaking, it's a tough one for me. Like, I would go by the recommendation of Rebecca and the Trails Committee. So
I'll go back
haven't
out and look.
been out on the trails much
I'll go
recently,
back
but
out. Let's go back out and look.
historically I have. But you know, generally speaking, when you guys have put in bridges, if the places that have called for it, generally keeping the right ideas. But
Especially on high traveled areas, you know, it's one thing if it's, you know, the areas don't
Some
see,
obscure spot.
don't see a lot of traffic, but rattlesnake sees a lot of traffic.
Yeah, and this is it's a lot of biking.
A
going
lot of
on.
biking on rattlesnake.
And that tears the trail to pieces. I mean, doesn't bother me that much, but
That's what it's there for, too.
Hmm?
I said it's what it's there for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
yeah,
But I mean, if it's soaking wet and there's a 2-inch puddle on it, you'd think that the bikers wouldn't ride. You know, the
Well,
problem with it is that they ride them on
do,
the
yeah.
edge.
Yeah.
And then they expand
It
it.
expands it out, so it's better off to
And the
Put-
other option, which I'm not suggesting that
just
at
close
all,
the trail.
would be, yeah, have it
Well,
be a
seasonally.
seasonal trail to mountain bikers,
Yeah, but I don't
walkers,
think
but I
that's-
don't think that's appropriate at all.
Well, you know what?
I wouldn't want to do that.
I've got, we've got on the morning of the 29th, which is this weekend,
Yes, Sunday.
you know, it's gonna be the chainsaw, the line killing
Yeah.
thing going on over there. So why don't I get out and just take a look at it? I
Yeah,
was gonna suggest we get out tomorrow, but it's gonna rain. So
Yeah.
It'll be wet tomorrow, that's for sure. But I mean, there's no real rush now, right?
nope,
Nope.
I don't think so.
Just go out and take a look at it then. And if you
Yeah.
want to
That's
go,
it,
maybe we
yeah.
can go Sunday, maybe we can go right after the, if you're gonna be taking the chainsaw course too.
Yeah.
If you have time, maybe we can just go look at it and
Okay.
talk about it, you know, because it's not too far from, where's the parking lot? Is the parking lot here, right? No. No, the parking lot, yeah, but this is where the training's gonna be,
Yeah,
right?
You guys go for a nice walk out.
Yeah, top of the car drive over there, go from there, but, I don't think it's that far, but it's just, I should go take a look at it, and I'm not familiar with what any, I haven't been out on this one yet, because Juliana went out.
Years, I should go up there. Went there when we
We
first,
fixed
when we
that.
first moved
Where
here,
was-
I went down the, I've been up to his.
Where was the, this is the, And anymore, there's a, when you go down, you go across and you go down a hill, and there's a big swamp thing with,
Yeah,
but is that there, is that, I don't remember where, exactly where it was, but I
I
know
think
this
that's
is
there
Anymore
between
Road. It's
two.
like right there.
yeah.
That's where it is, right there, 5, right? So it goes down a hill, and then it goes back up a hill.
Mhm.
And it was, somebody put in, there's a,
Yeah, I think it was, in my file anyways, it says the Girl Scouts. I don't know if
I don't
that's
know,
true.
I don't know, but it's, I don't know, we'll take a look at it, but it's there. The other thing that's happening, they finally get the, I guess we're gonna get the map, the books done now? Or is that Trails Committee, is that not to be brought up at this meeting?
Yeah, that's more Trails Committee,
Trails
but yeah,
Committee.
so the new edition of the trail guide is going to be
It's
coming
gonna
out.
be done, after all the hemming and hawing and everything else over this whole thing.
I have to get my new edition.
But you have to pay for it.
Yeah, I know, I'll make my donation. But yeah, then.
So that's what I'll do. We'll go on and look at that on Sunday, or, you know, because I'm away on Saturday. But
Mhm.
we'll go on and look at it on Sunday after the chainsaw thing.
Okay.
Just to take a look at it and see what it looks like, to make sure that we're not overreacting to a little mud hole. Because it was a wet winter
Yep.
out there, which may, you know, maybe wet winter's coming up. That may be the
What, there may not be over.
winter
yet.
may not be over
Yeah.
yet.
And, yeah, it might just keep going. All right.
But it was muddy. So, anyway. Good.
So, what else do we have? Anything else other than Nashua, Squanicook, and Nissintissit River sewage plan? I don't know what that is to say. I realized that after I was like, oh, I can bring it up at town meeting. I'm like, I don't think I can say that. But I've practiced. Yeah, well, we're depending, we'll discuss it tonight, but if we are putting forth the proposal that we join the Nashua, Squanicook, and Nissintissit River Stewardship Program. It's a mouthful. The first time I tried to say it, I'm like, yeah, the Nashua Stewardship. Nashua, Squanicook, and Nissintissit.
You know, I was at
Can you abbreviate it?
So,
I was at the transfer station Saturday morning, and Rona was out there
yep,
promoting
Let's join
it.
Wild Rivers. Is that what?
yes, so it's the Wild and Scenic River designation, the stewardship plan, and study committee associated with that. So basically, once the town's designated, there's this voluntary stewardship plan that is a piece of that as well, which that committee is what it is now, who I've been meeting with, who Rona's been meeting with. And it's the representative from the 11, or rather 10 other towns working as well to receive or be designated as a wild and scenic river along the main stem, which we'll be addressing at annual town meeting, but they have requested that we formalize our support to be included in the report that is being established or created by the National Park Service with all the other towns' input, to just have it included, so it's in writing, so if it's approved at annual town meeting, then they can add it to the file. That
If I
then will go
recall-
to Congress.
If I recall, it didn't cost anything, right?
Correct,
Right.
no financial impact.
No financial investigation, but lots of.
Except-
Well, I would say
It
Hand
would,
written.
could, but
it could, but what it does is it gives you another checkbox, basically, that you have a federal designation in your town, which is beneficial on grants. It's also beneficial if there is something that does happen, we then become eligible for a pool of funds that we otherwise wouldn't be.
No, good. Who gets the funds? The Conservation Committee?
Well, the town, whatever they're remediating is, yes. And the Board of Selectmen have sent their letter, Planning Board has sent their letter, prior to our town planner leaving on maternity leave, so they are waiting on us.
So, just write a letter.
I have a draft.
All right. So, we need to vote on it though, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to propose that we vote to endorse and support the town's joining of the Nashua, Squanicook, and Nissitissit River Stewardship Program, or should I?
Do you want?
I could go.
River stewardship.
Yeah.
Just yeah, there it goes.
NSN.
All right, I'm gonna start this one fresh because now my brain's working well. I'm sure I'll phrase it better. I'm gonna propose that the Conservation Commission votes to indicate its support for the purpose and goals of the Nashua, Squanicook, and Nissitissit River Stewardship Plan, and to endorse its recommendation to seek designation as a partnership wild and scenic rivers. Do I hear a second for us endorsing that and moving forward with it?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we'd like this signed. Do that.
Just you need to sign. Unless everyone wants to sign. it.
Everybody can.
More than welcome.
Why not? I signed Jeff Bryant's name anyways.
I
I'm
spelled mine
reminding
with
him of these
I
things.
spelled mine with a Y.
With the
Oh,
lawn.
shit.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's how I was looking at the
Alright.
minutes and I said, no, they spelled my
We'll
name
probably
Jeff.
talk more about
Right,
that. next
wrong.
time we do something.
Yes.
Jeff Cullen,
So,
right.
I'll send it in the
Yeah, there's
With the
questions. I know there's gonna be questions. 'Cause
Yep.
We'll get
So-
out of Paris too.
email.
When is the town meeting?
May
7th and 8th.
No.
So
7th
not-
and 8th?
Not, well, excuse me, I retract that statement. Is the 7th, if it does lead
Go-
into a
oh.
second night for any
Oh.
reason, it will be on the
Okay.
next consecutive
Yeah.
night.
We can only hope. We can only hope. It's happened before. Do you have anything else?
I do not believe so. Like I said, we're looking into, or I am looking into with the Board of Health as well. Someone had called regarding potential beaver activity causing flooding on their property. They may be filing for emergency permit if that's the case. But the individual wasn't sure, and that's actually why I had looked up that conservation property, because they believe there may be beaver activity on that property. So I will be assessing that sometime soon.
Look forward to hearing that.
Me too.
Aside from that, I have nothing.
You still have your beaver t-shirt, right? You don't wear it?
Yes, I do.
This is good where when you
I
talk.
should wear that on Sunday.
Lori, would you like to give us the top 10 things that almost rhyme with Bolton?
Nothing much, no.
In that case, I'd like to make a motion that we officially close the Tuesday, April 24th, 2018 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. Do I hear a second on that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So close. Good night, BATV.